All right. I think we're live, and sorry for that. I hope everybody can hear me. Yeah, I'm only guessing. So alone today, working on a new project, and I hope you guys kind of enjoyed the beginning of Coop's Code Explorations. Hope to be cloning apps again, but I've just been super busy working on a project launch for Q2. Um, Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about Model Context Protocol and AI agents. So the Model Context Protocol is something that Anthropic created, which is one of the top AI, I guess, model creators, LLMs. They're going against OpenAI, DeepSeek, et cetera, and they created Claude. I personally use Cloud all the time. I think it's probably one of the best coding ones. A lot of people, have different opinions, but so far in the daily coding, it definitely solves everything that I'm looking for. And yeah, so Model Context Protocol became the standard, like APIs, which is application programming interfaces, for LLMs to speak to each other. So you can imagine, like, if you write a prompt like, "Hey, I want to write this," it goes to the LLM and it does a bunch of, talking, and then it spits out information based off of the models that it was trained on. But it's what happens when you want the LLM to go do something for you, like edit your calendar or go to a Google Doc to get more information. And this is where the Model Context Protocol comes, is that they created a standard for people to start developing ways to speak to APIs. So it allows that huge smart LLM that's like trying to think, and now it's thinking, right? Has thinking, and taking all that context and be able to go do actions. And it's really smart because it actually knows exactly how to create a calendar event now. Now, in order for MCPs to, start taking over the world, which it already has, there's already thousands of MCPs out there that people are starting to develop to help LLMs be able to do very useful things. To give you an example, there are MCPs for editing your Google Calendar. There's MCPs for editing your Excel sheets. So if you're a layman and want to edit your Excel sheets, just learn a little bit about how to use MCPs and you'd be able to actually have your LM take over your Excel sheets. For the game developers out there, there's even modifying and controlling your Unity and Unreal Engine, which is very early work, but it's happening. And this, what I'm sharing with you guys, is only weeks old. It's probably the first ones that I saw was like late Q4 last year, but really started lighting on fire about 6 to 8 weeks ago, where thousands of MCPs started showing up across the internet with people trying to create this very useful way of being able to let the LLM take control of different aspects of the business. Now, I look at MCPs as AI tools. AI tools is something that I think I'm taking from the AI SDK and the way that they describe using tools for the AI. And you could think of like if you had one MCP that can edit your calendar and another one that could send an email, those would be two different tools. It's like a hammer and a screwdriver. And an AI agent is the one that thinks with the LLM and facilitates the action of calling the email and sending an email and also modifying the calendar event. And it might use two tools, aka MCPs, to be able to accomplish that action. Now, MCPs could be LLMs themselves. You can make them a little more smarter, but usually it's the very core, hardcore business logic of like zero thinking, giving power to the LLM to do this very precise action. And that's how, again, there's no real standard to all this, but that's how I've been thinking about it. Which really leads into, for the nerdy people out there, microservices, which I really look at MCPs to become like the new microservices um, for LLMs. So today we're going to go through a bit of vibe coding on how to use this new framework that I built, launch this MCP example, and then we'll have our agent use the MCP. Today, I'm just going to rebuild the example project that I did, the to-do list. So we'll see if I can get this done in less than 50 minutes. And hopefully we can get it to the point where the agent actually starts using the LLM with the playground UI that I open sourced as well. Everything that I'm about to show is open. You can take the code, modify it, do all that stuff. So have fun with it and let's jam. So first, of course, we need to turn on some music because I'm all alone in this room trying to jam. I can't vibe without vibe music, right? So let's go to my likes real quick and find something cool that I've been listening to recently. That's long, maybe. Yeah, that's a little too bassy. Let's go to some older stuff, maybe. Let's listen to this track. All right. Hopefully you guys got a little bit of music volume down there. I know it's been a little low in the last previous stream, so I'm going to turn up the music just a tad for today. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to GitHub. And I created this thing called the Zava Labs MCP template. So here, there's a really nice friendly way for anybody to be able to literally one-click deploy an MCP, and they would be able to have it fully working in the cloud. So it's pretty cool. I think we should do this. It's using Cloudflare tech. Everything I've been using and I plan on using is going to be based on Cloudflare because so many deeper reasons. But the key thing is it's cheap and it starts free now. So I'm going to click on deploy, keep it simple. Actually, before I click on it, just for the nerds out there, there's also a one-click command line here that you can copy and paste if you want to just straight up set it up locally on your machine. So put this on my personal account. We're going to call it the live example, MCP live code. And you don't have to change anything else. You're just gonna keep the commands that I kind of created for everybody and hit that button. And what it's going to do is it's going to create a new repository for us, and it's going to actually go ahead and build a live endpoint. So while this is building, which is going to take about a minute, I'm going to go ahead and go to my personal GitHub. You'll see that it has the MCP live code repository cloned on my account. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy this code so I can set up my environment in a moment. But let's go and watch this build because it's about to be done. Cool. So we're live within a minute. And we now are have a live endpoint with a 404 not found. So that's awesome. We'll test this endpoint in a moment in Cursor directly. So let's just go ahead and open Cursor, and then I'll go ahead and change my view as well. Cool. So we're going to create a new project. So let's just do a new window. We're going to clone a repo. I'm going to put in the repo that I copied and pasted earlier. I'm just going to put it here. In my, oh, I want to put it in my workspace actually. Cool. And now we're in it. I just downloaded everything. So you know how I said earlier I want to be able to test this live endpoint? So I'm going to go ahead and actually go to cursor settings, MCPs. I'm going to add a new example endpoint here. So example, let's call it the MCP live code, since that's what it is. And it's a URL. And by the way, this is the standard format for MCPs. To be able to actually like chat and stuff like that. You put it into this MCP JSON file, and then your Claude or your Cursor or whatever tool that you're using can actually start using this MCPs. So anyways, so I'm putting it in here. The standard is to have like an SSE endpoint at the end. So I'm going to actually double check what is in here. So if I go to index and prompts, I don't even think I have any tools or anything set up. So I'm just going to set that there for now. I guess what we could do is that we can go back to cursor and you'll see here that it says no tools are available, but we got a nice little green checkbox, which means that it actually connected to the cloud version that we deployed. Um, you might not believe me because we don't have any tools available, but let's go and make some tools. So as I was mentioning earlier, we want to be able to create a to-do list. So what that means is that we're gonna have a server. Let's go and rename it to Coop's the live code to-do list. And this is totally optional in the server section. Just wanted to do it. You'll also see that there's some stuff that's red. So actually, the first thing we should probably do is open up a terminal and do npm install to download all the packages that this project will need. While that's going on, I'm going to look at our Wrangler and realize that we don't have a database yet. Um, I don't know if we need it. Yeah, I guess we do want a database for this particular case. Now that I'm thinking about it, doing a database within 50 minutes is going to be pretty bullish. So let's just, let's get jamming, right? So if we go back here, there's nothing red now that our packages have been added. So really what I want to do is like get cracking. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give the whole context to the entire project to the AI by dragging it over here. I'm going to say, hey, we're going to create a to-do list MCP. I want to be able to add, remove, and update the status of my to-do items. We should have three states, to do, in progress, and completed. We want to store these within the durable object SQL storage. To get this, we are using Cloudflare's DO storage context. So really what I'm telling it to do is I know that if you like within here, there's a durable object state and storage. So, and by the way, I went ahead and added a Cloudflare MCP rules, which is going to allow Cursor to know everything about um, Cloudflare's tools, so like DOs and all that other stuff. It kind of has learned it already. So, um, storage context. So let's go ahead and update the example MCP server to be called to-do list. I guess it's yeah, live code to-do list server. And cool. The server tools, and I can tell it to, modify this, should be able to create, um, add, remove, and updates to-do items. Each item has a name, description, and last updated date and status. Ideally, we create a separate file called repository that has the responsibility of all the queries, including creating the initial tables for the example MCP server. Oh, sorry. It's now called the to-do or live code to-do list server. I think this might be enough for it to get cracking. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it do its thing. So, just a reminder, what are we working on? We are working on the tool which allows us to create, update, and delete to-do list items. Now, there's going to be zero LLM, zero agent related work here. This should just be pure logic to be able to create, update, and delete. And there's three concepts to MCPs. There's server tools, which are the actions to be able to do these things, and some people mix and match actions of like getting data and doing actions. I prefer to look at it as strictly just doing actions. Then there's server resources, which is getting data for me. So if you think of like reading data from a database, I would be leaning in on to those type of functions. And then there's server prompts, which gives the LLM examples of how to use these tools. It actually is meant to give examples to the human on how to write something to give these tools. So cool. We're getting some code. I'm going to go ahead and review the code in repository. We got everything we wanted. We got our status. The initialized database hasn't happened yet, so I think they're probably going to come back and modify that. But then we have all this get to do by ID. What are we doing? Get to do by ID. So I think it's just putting it straight up in a key value store instead of using the SQL storage. So we're gonna need to tell it like, hey, yo, you know, this unless there's like a whole nother thing. Yeah, it's just a key value store. So we're gonna modify it to do the SQL in a moment. Let's go back to server, see what's going on. Yep, there's the that's cool. I never seen this wait until function. That's a new one. Cool. That's telling me it's done. Let's go to the index, see what's happening. We now have our live code server. We went ahead and renamed it from example, which it did not update this, so that's a bug, right? It should be updated here as well. I'll go ahead and tell it to do that. And then we know that they didn't do the SQL portion. So sorry, I forgot to mention we want to use SQL D1 for this in the um, repo. So what we want to do is um, storage.sqs. I think it's storage. Really? I'm pretty sure there's a SQL. Yeah, SQL. We want to is use the storage.sql tools. Also, let's rename storage to state and the to-do repository. And you forgot to update the binding reference in Wrangler. I'm going to mention the file, and I'm going to just remind it like, I like to highlight and add the chat. Don't forget to run cf type gen after you update the Wrangler file. So that's like one of the ways that I like to just straight up highlight, add the chat to like give it a very precise. And you'll see here it added 12 to 12 line so that it knows exactly what I'm talking about. And the more precise you can be when you're working with these tools, the better, because people keep like thinking that it's like all knowing, but we only have so much context, which is like the brain to work with of these LLMs of like what does it know that actually matters to you. We really don't have that much space, and the more you fill up that space, you know how you open up more tabs on Chrome and it just like slows down your computer, right? Then it just doesn't work as well. So the more precise you could be in terms of the context of what you're building in that precise example, you'll see here it knew exactly what to do. Live code to-do list server is the name. Want to make sure that it actually is matching what's in index. Live code to-do list server, perfect. So we got all that, working right. It did rerun the CF type gen, which is great. Which means that it regenerated this file right here, which is key. And then we know that if we go to index and I click on that, it's going to go to that file, which is good. There should be no env server. I don't know why it did that. So it just fixed it. Cool. And Still kind of confused here because it said server env. I'm gonna go ahead and just like tell it to like, yeah, like we don't need to use that. I'm just gonna modify it itself. Cool. Um, and let's look at the repository now. So we have our actual SQL table here. It didn't work. It's actually supposed to be SQL dot exec like this. Um, I could tell it to fix it. So, so I know how to fix it, right? But for the people who don't know how to code, you wouldn't know that that exists. So let's just say, please fix the linting errors in repository and server. And linting errors are pretty much like what's wrong with these two files. And one is that the state that's getting passed in, I guess it's not matching. And then let's go to the tools real quick while that's happening. So there's the create to do tool, which is going to take the repository and create a to do. So the action is right. And then there's the update with the optional status. And then there's the delete. There's the list. We can get all our to-dos. Yeah, and we're set. So this looks great. This looks like perfect. Repository, it's still having issue. It's starting to revert back. It's like, hey, I'm gonna go use the storage. I'm gonna be like, no, look at storage.sql and use that. Now you'll notice it's getting kind of wrong, right? And you'll see here at the bottom right, cursor says, hey, it'd be really good if you just start a new chat. So, I could have, this is probably would have been a one shot if I just started a new chat after the initial repository was set up. But, these are just the small things that you gotta like remember. Yeah. Is this a promise? It's not even a promise. That's interesting. Okay. And then let's look at the server, saying the state is not, needs to be set up. And I'm just gonna, so let me just accept all these changes so it's easier to read. I'm not going to use any resources for this project, so I can delete it, and I'm not going to use any prompts. Actually, let's look at prompts real quick. It did create all the prompts for us, so let's keep the prompts. Okay, so it did fix this one, and we now have a working SQL um, setup here. Cool. Okay, I have seen it do this before. I don't know if it's actually going to work. So yeah, we can actually test it. So everything is working now. Everything is live. And we're now going to test and see how this works. So what's cool about this repository as well is that I created this dev. So if I do npm run dev, it's not only going to run the server, but it's going to launch a separate server as well. We already have an error. See, yeah. So this, it tried to like do this little hack where it's like the SQL isn't going to work. So it doesn't actually know enough about the DOSQL. So really, I know that the exec function is the path forward. So let's just go ahead and fix that for each of these. And it's starting to predict what I want. That's called the tab feature. And now this is saying the results is wrong. So I'll just ask it to fix in chat this particular issue while I make sure everything else is looking good. Yeah, cool. Let me make sure that this is called in the server. Wait until. I never used wait until before. That's pretty cool. I mean, really, I prefer block concurrent while, so I'm just gonna manually change that. And then there we go. Cool. So now we have ourselves a bunch of code, and this fixed itself. I really don't like how it's like forcing itself to compile. Um, so let's just fix the problem. So I'll ask it, can you fix the problem without using tsignore? The results. And then, what we can do is we can look at like the D1 query docs, which I'm going to go to the actual docs. And uh, what we can get is query in the database. We'll just get the code exactly. We're going to do cursor. Oh, and I say, look for examples on this website. So now this is going to index literally everything that's available from the SQL exec. And this is because LLMs don't have the most recent up to date. And there's like so much context on the internet that's changing like all the time. Cool. So now we have a proper working site. So now you'll see like it has been refreshing over and over and over again as these fixes were like being made. But now we have a website. So if we go back up, maybe I'll just restart it real quick. So it's a little easier to see what's going on. So if we do npm run dev, we now have a 8787, but then it sees there's this MCP inspector here. I'm going to go ahead and click on that and go to the next page so you can see it. And if I already have this default in here, but if you choose transfer type SSE and then you do that SSE endpoint, you can hit connect, and that's going to connect to our local server. And if you hit, um, let's just do prompts, right? Create to do help, update to do help, right? Let's go and see in our code again that this actually exists over here. So if we go to, oops, this one, there's an introduction and there is a update to do help as an example. So if I click on that back in our original setup and get prompt, it gives us a bunch of information of like how it would work. And this again helps the user understand how to use this tool. If we go to tools, same thing. We can see our different tools that are available. Now, we want to test this before the AI tests this. Now, I hope to make a much more better program to do testing in the next few weeks, but right now we can just manually do it. What do we want to do? We want to eat lunch at 12 p.m. Coop is, what am I eating today? Gordon Ramsay's pasta recipe. Probably like totally butchering his name. And the status is to do. So cannot read properties from reading to do. So we have ourselves an error. And if I go back to, oh, maybe it's because I put in the wrong Maybe it's not to do, maybe it's like backlog. Let's just double check. Maybe it's just weird words. Oh man. Live coding, guys, at the best. All right, let's see what's up. Set up MCP proxy. So I don't, the sad thing is I don't see any errors like in our code right now. Um, so let me go back into the code view for you guys, and you'll see there's like no errors. So let's just try another one real quick, like list to-dos. It says cannot read properties from undefined, get all to-dos. Which let me just accept all this code and let's go to the tools. And I think what we want to do is we want to just do a quick console log right here. And you'll see there's not even a single. Wait, is this SSE error undefined? Maybe there's like something. Maybe there's something undefined. All right, let's check it out. Oh, wait. Yeah, this right here. See, it's trying to like hack itself. The durable object state. So what's the exact error? Okay. The durable object state is something that is there. Okay, so what we need to do is in a repository, there's probably durable object state up here. Straight up delete it. Because it's already like a global thing. There we go. All right. And I think I might reboot the entire thing real quick because that's a pretty drastic change. So let's do it. So sessions received, it's doing the call. And we go back to tools. What I'm really looking for is this console get all to-dos right here, which is just not even being called. Um, which means that really let's go up one layer to server tools. Let's see if this is getting called. The list to dos is getting called. It's probably saying repository. Oh yeah, I remember running into this weird setup. So state this repository. So configure server is using this repository, but at this exact moment, this repository is null because it's um it's calling super. And what's super funny is that like you can't set this up beforehand. So let me just take a quick look at my I'm gonna cheat here at the example project of how I solved that problem. Is that I put the initialization in here. So let's go and do that. So we don't need a repository here. We're going to make this a const. And then we're going to do this dot state. It's actually this dot context. Cool. And repository. Cool. Now this will not be null. This is going to be much better. Awesome. So let's give it a hard refresh right here. Because again, major change. Cool. So now if I go to our code, let me just switch the view here so you guys get a full screen of it. You'll see there's zero to-dos. And if I create a to-do, it's like eat lunch at noon. Coop is eating pasta. To-do. I'm going to run the tool. And there's an SQLite error on the creation portion. So at least we know that we're getting an error. Let's find out what the error is. So we go to tools, going to create to-do. And actually, probably what we want to do is that we want to like capture unrecognized token. I'm going to do this right now. So I'm going to create a new chat. Again, trying to switch screens for you guys. I'm going to create a new chat and I'm going to say, hey, we are getting this error on the create to do. Please check the query. Um, hmm, okay. Let's give this one a shot. So running it, it says wrong number of parameter bindings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 6. Looks correct though. Oh, so I'm trying to create it again. Create to do or eat lunch. Eating Coop eats pasta, and we're doing the to do. Yeah, so it's still saying wrong number of parameter bindings, and I remember running into this recently. Oh, I think I know why. So it's not supposed to be an array. It's supposed to be straight up like this. Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. Each line, each comma is a binding. Yeah, that's why. But unfortunately, I think I'm still a bit smarter than yeah. Boom. All right, it's running it. You know what? It says it doesn't need to be a sync. Cool. So now we have a successful message. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys just a successful. Now I'm gonna go to list to-dos. Says I found one to do, right? And if I can get the to do, I guess I could have gotten the ID for it, but we're gonna just leave it there because, um, yeah, that's, a good start. Now we have 20 more minutes. Now we want an LLM to be able to use this, right? Now just to show that like it's working with, like quickly. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to just add to the chat here, and I'm gonna not use an expensive LLM, just a normal one, and say like, hey, can you check the live MCP tool to-do list? How many to-do items do we have? And remember earlier, like when I asked it to, oops. So I think I need to refresh the tools. So if I go to console, cursor settings, MCPs, here's the live code. Oh, this is going to the cloud, right? So let's go and edit this real quick. It's in the ping pong right now. So let's call it ping pong. So let's go to settings, cursor settings again. In the ping pong, you see the create to do, create, update, delete list. It has all of our stuff right here. So can you check, and I'm going to delete it just so we don't confuse it with other stuff. Can you check our to-do list and how many to-dos we have? So just did list to-dos. Says it looks like there are currently no to-dos in the list. All right, cool. Yeah, so let's create a let's eat lunch at 12. And then do a call with Victor at 4 p.m. Can you add those two to-do lists, please? Now, I'm not even asking it to do like, um, you know, like each one, like, is it going to be in the to-do status? No, etc. So then, what to do? What's on our to-do list now? So now I think when it does the list to-dos, it's getting the two to-dos. There we go. So look at that. Like the LLM is literally leveraging this MCP that we just created. So glad we got it working, right? So now that's what an MCP is. Let's transition over to an agent like really quickly. And that's where these new tools that I'm developing are going to be making this like a lot more fun and easier to use. But how do we get this like to work? Not within Cursor, but on like a website. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to commit this code. It's like working to-do list so that it's in the cloud. Okay. And now we are going to, I'm just going to open up my other project that I had open here. And I'm gonna just use, I guess it's an examples. Let's just double check. Simple prompt agent. So right now I have this like simple prompt agent example that I created in the TypeScript framework. And the reason why I want to use this is because we have like a very basic SDK to be able to use for like talking to MCPs. I guess I could try to do this from scratch within 15 minutes. Is it going to be possible? Probably not, knowing the amount of time that we just spent on the MCP. So what we should do is just show you quickly how to point to this MCP. So like I was mentioning, we have something in the cloud here. I'm copying and pasting the URL for the cloud version right here. So that we have our MCP from the to-do list. And this should be, I need to understand why this is not working. So let's just go into the examples. Um, let's just install the packages just in case. Okay. That knows what's going on. I think it's just like a small bug, or with the cursor itself. Okay. So, So I already have like this set up everywhere already, and what I'm gonna do is in the package JSON, I'm actually running this tool called Playground, which is gonna run this really cool UI that we haven't created as a package, but if you go to our everything's open sourced, so that you can actually go and use this. So I'm gonna just do npm run dev again, and this should run, looks like no errors, a an agent which is running on this one. And the reason why it's running on the wrong one is because I have that other program running. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just kill this. I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to kill our server. So let's just go and run examples, simple prompt agent, run dev again. And this again is going to run the agent on 8787, and then it's running this MCP server, which we don't need to care about at the moment because it's going to actually use this live one instead. And there should be a playground somewhere. Hmm. Looks like it did not run the playground. Oh, saying this is the wrong directory. So definitely a bug like it's cd packages slash playground. I must have just changed that recently. So you'll see there's a localhost 3000 now. Cool. So let me just go ahead and show. Oh, I was showing the wrong screen the whole time, unfortunately. Sorry about that. So you'll see we now have a new chat, and I guess let me just review what I was just doing. Is that I updated the MCP JSON in this simple prompt agent, and then we have this package here called Playground that you'll be able to use as well, and that'll be like a separate example site that you'll be able to play with soon. But if you want to use it today, it's all open source and available. So what's on my to-do list is the question I'm going to ask, and there is currently an error. Oh, the reason why there's an error is because